Yo, what's good? It's Danny, back with another video. Today, we're going to be talking about why you may feel like you're stuck in life. Now, growth in life doesn't really look linear at all. It's not something to where you're always going to see your growth right away. We tend to grow in more of a cyclical nature. Life within itself is very cyclical. It goes within a cycle. When you begin your growth journey, you're not going to see results right away. It's only by creating new habits and following those habits consistently that you're going to actually see a change. And even then, that change isn't going to happen as soon as you finish doing the activity. So if you go to the gym today, tomorrow, and the next day, you're not going to see abs right away. Everything in life revolves around a cycle. Everything from generational curses to the way water flows. Every single living thing and action that you take has some form of a cycle. You can see this in various religions where they have symbols like the Ouroboros, which can be used as a symbol for life, death, and rebirth. You could also see it in animation, where you have principles like mastering the walk cycle. And mastering the walk cycle is basically the introductory to becoming a better animator. It's understanding the fact that everything has a process, everything has a cycle. For my hand to go from here to here, there's going to be a certain amount of frames in between that. That's the process, that's the cycle. You have to start thinking you don't have back pain, or you don't get back pain. Like, it's not just given to you. It's something that you developed over time through consistent habit and routine. A cycle. You don't get rich, you become rich through a habit, through a routine, through a cycle. So therefore, you aren't broke. You make yourself broke through habits, routine, and cycle. You're not toxic. You became toxic, and you don't get a healthy relationship. You develop one through habits and through going through the cycle. So those cycles can be either beneficial to you or they can lead to your detriment. It all depends on what your goals are. Now, in order to break out of these cycles, you have to learn how to identify them. So there's a saying, and it goes, know your enemy. And the reason you want to know your enemy is because you want to know what you're up against. It's impossible for you to win a battle against something that you don't even know exists. So you might not even know that these negative habits or cycles are the reason why you're not reaching your goals, because you haven't even identified them. And it's because a lot of us tend to live on autopilot. We don't really question the things that we do enough. In order to start breaking away from that thought, you need to create buffer in your thought process. You need to create space for yourself to think. So a lot of us succumb to the cycles that we don't fully understand, and therefore a lot of us are in cycles that we don't fully understand, and because of that, it makes it easier for us to succumb to bad habit. The ignorance that we have can be seen as bliss. You know, the statement ignorance is bliss. It's true to a certain degree, but ignorance within itself can and has led to the demise of many people, and it's only going to continue to. So learning to become more aware through practices like journaling and meditation will definitely aid with you starting to break these cycles. So a couple practices you can start to engage in to start to create that buffer for yourself are as follows. Deep breathing throughout the day. So when you deep breathe throughout the day, when you not only does it have like a calming effect over you, but it also just forces you to draw attention to the present. You traditionally don't breathe that deep. So therefore, in order to do that, your attention is being drawn to that action. Therefore, you're becoming present. When you're present, take that opportunity to analyze yourself and your situation. When you catch your mind drifting away, this is going to be the next exercise. Remind yourself that what is going on in your mind is not necessarily real. A lot of the time, we'll get into imaginary arguments in our head with our supervisor, with your significant other, or you might be going through something in your head that bothered you and it's just replaying on repeat over and over again. What you have to learn to tell yourself is that these things are not real. While your mind is a powerful tool that you could use for manifestation and just understanding overall, it's a great tool. It also comes with its own downsides. If you don't use it, you lose it, but it could also work against you. Your mind doesn't necessarily want to be your friend, or it doesn't necessarily want to be your enemy. It's rather indifferent. Therefore, you have to keep it in check. If you're constantly arguing with yourself in your head, you have to realize that that's serving you no good purpose. It's just making you upset all the time. So now at the end of the day, you're tired, you're drained, and you don't know why. You're in a thought cycle within itself, and this is one of the hardest thought cycles to break. But you need to convince yourself that it's not real, because it's actually not real. That argument that you had into your head for 20 minutes is not a real argument. it could be beneficial when you're going forward and you're learning how to present a case, or you're presenting how you feel about something and you're making sure that all your points are valid. That's great. But on the day-to-day, you should not be in such a combative mind state to where you can't pull yourself out of your own thoughts. So practicing mindful thinking, and just also practicing pulling yourself out of thinking too much, will do wonders for you identifying the habits that are keeping you in these negative cycles. Write down your triggers. You need to start figuring out what triggers you to go into these habits that are keeping you stuck. So if you know that you're trying to stop drinking or you're trying to stop smoking, but every time X, Y, and Z happens, you proceed to do it, now you know what your enemy is. Now you know, okay, I can't do this because if I do this, it's going to cause me to feel this way, which is then going to provoke me to do X, Y, and Z. And I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. Therefore, I'm going to avoid being provoked to begin with. Or when I get provoked, as opposed to doing this, I'll do this. Removing the habit won't be enough. And a lot of the time, you'll notice that people quit things cold turkey and then they keep going back to them. It's because you can't willpower your way through an unequivalent exchange. If you make an exchange, it has to be equivalent. If you choose to give something up, something has to replace it. Otherwise, that thing that you gave up will just come back right in its place because nothing took its place. If you're living in a home and you decide that you want to renovate it, so you get rid of all the old furniture and you put it in the trash dump, or you put it in the garage, or you put it out on the corner, and then you come back into an empty home and you're sitting on a floor and you're like, damn, I'm sitting on the floor. I'd like to sit on the couch. So you go outside and you grab the rusty couch and you bring it back inside. Then you're like, damn, but there's nothing to watch. Then you grab the same TV and you proceed to continue the process of grabbing all your old stuff because you never replaced it. You emptied out your home and left it empty. You didn't replace it with new things. Therefore, those old things came back out of need. So when you remove any of these habits, what you're failing to realize is that you're creating a vacuum. You're creating a need. And if you don't supplement that need, that same exact habit that you're trying to get rid of will just come back. And it will only get stronger the more you don't replace it. So you need to understand that whatever habit that you go into, you have to make a deal. It has to be equivalent exchange. You can't just say, I'm quitting video games and not pick anything else up. You're gonna live a miserable existence and you're probably gonna go back to playing video games. If you wanna quit anything, you need to find some form of a supplement for the vacuum that you're going to create. Understand that trying to break bad habits, trying to break cycles, or trying to create cycles will require intention.